Welcome everyone to another episode of Stay in Your Lane. I'm your host John Mahle here at Food Shippers 24. Got Joe Lombardo, consummate contributor to our podcast. We love Joe. Got Steve Golich today, sharing the couch with you, Joe. You guys have known each other quite some time.
Long time.
Long time.
More than 20 years, probably.
Oh, yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
Did you tell him, Joe, when I first spoke on the phone, you hung up on me?
I was a couple. We had a few calls before that, but yeah, I definitely hung up on him.
Joe never hung up on me. He just didn't answer the phone.
Yeah, but
We did that too.
I would call people back though. I mean, you may call me on Monday the 1st. I may return the call on Thursday the 23rd. But
You always call
I
back.
do. You call back. And
You
people
always
say,
call back, and it was always on Friday afternoons.
Yeah.
That's when you called back.
Always call back.
Yeah. But, the industry in that regard hasn't changed much. At the conference, have you seen a change? This has been, how many years have you been coming?
I come intermittently. I was last year in West Palm and scattered along the lines. We have so many people from our company who want to participate, and we're limited like others. So we usually send 4 or 5. And this year my turn was up, and I love it. It's a great conference. There's so many good people. It's very educational. It's very topical. Our roots go back. Joe is a past president, and like Joe, several of our good friends in this industry are past presidents.
Yeah.
Current president David Demensik is a very good friend and a good customer. So I love being here. You have to be seen to be viable, I think. And this is as good a conference as any.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody realizes at times how much value can be here.
Yeah.
For the shippers communicating with themselves, but also from everyone getting to communicate with different providers, get insights, get one-on-one time, but still enjoy the speakers and understand where the industry might be headed, talk about that. You've been coming for many years. I've been here for many years off and on myself. I would say I was probably more consistent for the first 10 or so years. Mm-hmm. And then, other people, you give other opportunities too. What do you see? You've been in this industry a long time. What do you see happening from a rail perspective? Refrigerated rail.
Well, we're actually, Alliance Shippers is technically an IMC, an intermodal marketing company is what we're known for. There aren't a lot of those left. There aren't a lot of large ones. There have been mergers over the years, or some of us have bought our own assets, have our own assets in place, and so they tend to call us bimodals or light assets or whatever. Alliance is still truly an IMC. We do rail brokerage and we do highway brokerage as well, which we just developed that in the last 15 years. But we started 44 years ago now we're in business. We started as one of the original intermodal marketing companies. And, back then, the tough part of selling it was nobody believed it. Nobody believed that you can get a piece of freight from Chicago to LA for less money than you could on a truck. So it was all about credibility. What is this new thing? What's this all about? And today, the delta in pricing between us and truck is negligible.
Right.
Again, speaking as a rail provider, it's negligible. There's some, but it's not 30% like it was when we were born. Back in those days, Joe, you remember, it was probably 70, I don't know, when did intermodalism started, 72, 73, mm-hmm. And it was a single trailer. They weren't containers back then. It was a trailer on flat car. And then, fast forward and you end up with containers and then you're double stacking. So there's quite a bit of savings to be had there.
A lot of efficiency.
And that's really when it took off, when we were able to sell double stack economics and people could understand why there was a savings.
What years would that have been? 80s?
Very early 80s, I think,
in the 80s.
Because we started in 77, about the same time as some of the other guys did. And back in those days, Mark 7, of course, Hub Group, a lot of them that have come and gone. But yeah, for us, the double stack I think was early 80s, but we started in intermodalism in the 70s. And it's things are cyclical.
Oh yes.
They're coming back. We haven't been able to sell a substantial savings to our shippers like we did in those old days. there's a lot of trucks on the highway today, and they're able to take their rates from here to there like this. And so we have to defend ourselves against that, and we have to be reactionary to that. But it's all about capacity. It's all about the amount of freight that's moving. And as everybody knows, we're in a bit of I call it a trough. And it's for me, I think it's going on 3 years already. Enough is enough. We need some business to start cooking.
We could use a positive uptick.
Yeah. And every year at this time, everybody says, well, next quarter. We keep kicking that can down the road. Yeah. And some of the shippers that I've talked to this week, a lot of them are saying, end of Q3, maybe Q4. Some are saying 2025. Wow. That's a long trough.
It's been difficult. I think what goes up must come down. Yeah. We've all been in the industry. I've been 31 years. You've been for a long time. Joe's been for a long time.
Over 40 for me. Yeah.
We've seen the pendulum swings.
Right.
But I would say there were some extremes during COVID that it was almost the perfect storm with COVID and on top of the technology changes that hit the industry and the state that the industry was at coming out of 19 compared to if it would have happened when things were already on the uptick, how would it have looked different? I look back and I try and understand what would be different, what would we change, how do we improve our networks, how do we say we want to be proactive and look for the options to provide consistency and stability. And here at the conference, I think you're exposed to so many different things in a few days.
Yeah.
So, my advice is come and sponge it up, meet as many people as you can, talk to as many people as you can, because this I'd say is probably one of the better, if not the very best, from that perspective in our industry.
For sure. This is a great conference. It has been. I'm just flabbergasted by the growth. 1,366, I heard, attendees, and it's the highest ever. And each year you set a new benchmark, and they have a waiting list. And it's a great opportunity. People are busy. People are very busy. You don't have time to meet with salespeople anymore. You don't have time. Everything's email. And unfortunately and sadly in some cases, we're doing emails at midnight. We're doing it on airplanes. We're doing it whenever we can get it in. And the way I was brought up doing business was to shake somebody's hand and look them in the eyes and say, this is how we're going to make it.
This is what I'm going to do.
So much easier to explain things when you're face to face.
Exactly.
There's no inflection with email.
There's no tone.
No body language, right?
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of cool things going on with intermodalism, starting with, one of the effects, or one of the large effects of the pandemic is there was not enough capacity to handle all the things that were coming in when the economy shut down and the country shut down. And so we sort of built the church for Easter Sunday. Everybody went out and bought more containers, more chassis, and sort of like, a bottleneck, and it finally clears the neck of the bottle and it settles down, and we have all this capacity and not enough business. Well, the industry needed a respite. We were jam-packed and we were full throttle, and we needed a respite. And the positive thing about that is rail service has never been better. It's fluid.
It's faster.
They took that opportunity to clean things up, to get fluidity in their terminals. Give the railroads credit, the Class 1s, they did not waver on their budgets. I mean, they kept at it. They kept purchasing as they needed to, with land and storage and
locomotives, everything.
Everything. There's a lot of locomotives in mothballs today, but they're there as soon as this thing hits. They're ready to go. So service has never been better. We are as close to truck as we've ever been, and depending on the mileage that you serve for intermodal, we can equal a single driver truck. It's always been the case, Chicago to LA,
right.
Some of the more frequent lanes.
Right.
So if customers or shippers have not tried intermodal or have shied away for whatever reason, or just took it away because the truck market was better, more attractive, man, you come back, you're going to be surprised. Our service is just phenomenal. It's just really good.
And to your point, I think everything goes in flows, and there's technology improvements, and the bottlenecks get worked out. I think that the industry hasn't seen a scenario where rail and truck were a negligible difference in a long, long time. You know, it was always I would say, at its height, it was always a good value from a cost savings perspective. But when you're a shipper, you balance the control change, the loss of control, the ability to react, to pivot, to maneuver. When you have that, I think that would be the only thing that doesn't lend itself towards, rail capacity. But I don't think there are a great number of players in refrigerated rail.
Well, that's I guess for Alliance, that's about refrigerated rail is about maybe 30% of our total business, but it's our flagship. Everybody knows us as the reefer carrier.
Yep.
We're the reefer provider. We're the reefer carrier. Yep. And of course, reefer is just a slang term for temperature control. We do it all from protect from heat, protect from cold. We do a lot of produce. We, I guess, to the extreme with the most protection would be ice cream. We do a little bit for Nestle, do it for some other players. It's not the most desirable commodity because it's basically your unit never shuts off.
Yeah, minus 20, absolutely. Yeah.
And so you're burning fuel, absolutely. And then the wear and tear and the maintenance on there. But we've done some. Technology has gotten better, much better. But we do it all. Frozen stuff, 0, minus 10, just protect. We do a lot of produce, as I mentioned. And it's an alternative for truck. In many of the markets, we can equal the service. Again, from the West Coast to Chicago, same thing as a single driver. So we offer capacity.
Continue watching on the next episode of the Stay in Your Lane podcast.